yourself. Take a pen or pencil, whatever you have, and make your own additions. And then we'll come together in like 3 minutes to edit the paper together. Okay?
And you can kill our penis up there. You can erase what's up there.
Okay. Everyone just about done? Almost? I'll give you another minute. And just read the top page. The second page is another paper. Someone else's paper. Just the top page. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. When can we agree what is the main idea of the article or the case study as a class? You guys ready? What's the main idea?
That the fulfillment of Tupac at Coachella was not a hologram.
Okay. So it's not a hologram. Okay, what else?
Yes. The difference between a hologram and Pepper's Ghost.
Okay. Hologram versus Pepper's Ghost.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Those are only 2 points in the whole case study.
The things required to do either. The things required to do either of them.
Okay. And the requirements. Okay. Anything else?
The differences.
Okay. So differences. So we got hologram versus Pepper. So can we all agree that these are the main points? That's it, right? Okay. So let's take this sentence by sentence. Anybody have any issues with the first sentence? Any? Yes.
I mean, I thought that it was a little bit biased. Not necessarily everybody thought it was hologram.
Okay. So how would you change it?
I would just say that like it was said to be a hologram. It was just like
Okay. So
instead of people mistaking it for like that, the news was saying that it was hologram.
okay. So you want to strike out this part?
I mean, like if it's, I don't know if that's right, but I'm just saying that's what
No, I want to know. What would you do to change it to make it more correct to say in scientific writing terms, based on what you learned yesterday?
I just thought you were supposed to say the facts. That's what
Right.
I suggested.
And you're saying that something in this sentence kind of hints to an opinion?
Yeah.
Okay, so what part?
Confusion and what people mistake.
Okay. Anyone else have any suggestions?
For the first one?
I saw a hand raised over here.
Instead of, I guess to go with what she was saying, instead of saying people, it said media, because it's not just saying all the people are saying, but the media is saying that was all.
Okay, that's a good point. So remember we talked about pronouns and not using pronouns? You can lump the word people in that group. Because it kind of suggests that everyone, and we don't know what people you're talking about, and it's kind of difficult to say what people you're referring to. And sometimes it's not even important who thinks it. So I would just lump people into that category. Would you kind of agree, Drew?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't use people.
Yeah, people is just one of
Vague.
those things you don't. Yeah, it's too vague. So, yes.
No, well, you crossed it out, but I had a problem with the state.
Okay.
It doesn't fit in with the tense of the rest of the sentence because
Past
your
tense
first
versus-
one is began
Mm-hmm.
and mistake is present instead of past.
Right. That's a good writing tip in general, outside of scientific writing, within scientific writing. If you start with the past tense, you have to go past tense for the You have to commit to it. You can't switch back and forth. When it comes to lab reports, it's kind of different. And we'll talk about when you use present tense versus past tense. But when you're writing summaries or essay form or just this type of writing that's not a lab report, stick to it. If you're writing present tense, past tense, past tense. So how can we rewrite this sentence to make it more fact-based? Can we just cross this out and then that's all, or what? What do you guys think? I need participation for this to work. So this is really for you guys to edit it and learn from it, and not for me to edit it. So what do you guys think to rewrite this sentence? Yes.
The first sentence is kind of like an intro, like it's set up like an intro. And
Okay.
to make it less like an intro and more like very straightforward, it could be put in like the audience of the 2012 Coachella like mistook Tupac's performance as a hologram.
Okay, and that's fine. That's totally fine. So you can just cross this out. And I hate doing this because it seems so mean, but it's kind of how we have to do it. So what was your suggestion again? Audience?
Yeah, the audience.
Okay. And that's how you can you guys read that? Is it kind of difficult? So second sentence. Anyone want to edit anything? Yes.
Versus which may or may not, it's kind of not straightforward, it's either or.
Right. So we talked about accuracy, correct?
Mhm.
So when you're writing in scientific writing style, you have to be accurate. Is it may? Is it let's see, what is it? Does it have to be in the same location? Does it not have to be in the same location? You have to be more specific. So how would you change that to make it more correct?
I would think that whole part.
Okay.
Like just after that comma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to put a period here and take out this part? Y'all have to agree after class. Too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next sentence. Anyone?
I wouldn't say involved.
Yeah,
I'd
would
say like used.
or required or something.
Okay. Are required.
It's not involved.
Yeah. Makes it.
So we talked about concision. So when we talk about concision, you want to make the sentence make sense with as less don't be afraid to choose the correct word or phrase. So yes, our required is a little bit more than saying involved, but it's more correct to use that than involved. Is that clear? Question in the back?
Can we just move required in front of material?
I'm sorry.
Can we just move required in front of material and just have the second one?
Okay, so just put required here.
Yeah.
Or you can say the required materials. Okay, I like that. Any other suggestions? Yes.
Personally, I was a little bit confused by the projected object because would the object not be projected
Like the object to be projected or something.
Because it's not the materials used. It's not exactly like the projection is something you produce and it's
Okay, so I'm going to change it to the object instead of saying projected. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. All right. So let's go to the next sentence. Holograms are created by using a laser that is pointed through a beam splitter, which splits the laser light into two beams, the object beam and the reference beam.
It's long.
Yes.
Is that passive? Holograms are created.
Mm-hmm.
So
We can. How do you make that active?
you could put that the laser create a hologram by using something.
Or just take out the first part entirely and say a laser is pointed into a beam splitter. The laser's light is split into two beams, and then that's a complete area. So you could like actually make that separate sentences.
Okay, so you want to put A here and then cross this out.
Yeah.
Okay. A laser, we can take out that also. A laser is pointed in, you take out in.
Yeah, what does it mean to be pointed in through something?
Yeah, this is kind of.
I can't picture that in my head.
A laser is.
You can be pointed through a laser, through a beam splitter, but you can't be pointed in through a laser. That's how we speak, not how we write.
So is it just through, or would it be at?
What's more accurate? How does it work?
You guys
Sure.
Remember, you're using an active voice here.
It goes through the beam.
I say at.
Out loud. Say it. Be wrong out loud. It's way better than being right in your head.
I'll say at.
A laser is pointed, but what is the beam splitter actually doing?
Splitting it.
Boom. Do that. That's active, right? Rewrite the sentence.
So.
Beam splitter.
Split.
Think outside the box, guys. You don't have to stick to the same format.
A laser split through. Split.
That's much better. I would much rather read that sentence.
Wait, what is it?
A laser is split through a beam splitter.
Isn't that still
No,
that's still
is passive.
You guys have to agree and talk together to make the sentence better. That's the idea.
Say that
19
out
heads are better than 1.
No, you didn't. You said it to like
Said it
to
to
three
three
of
of
us.
us.
I was really
Loud.
Isn't it still a passive sentence?
So what she asked is, isn't that a passive sentence? Is that sentence still passive, guys?
It's split.
Picture with the beam splitter splits
I heard it. Where is it? The beam splitter.
Split. A laser.
Okay. So you can actually take out the whole thing, right? A beam splitter. A beam splitter splits the laser light into two beams.
Oh.
Then we have a colon here, and then it goes on. The object beam and the reference beam. Anyone have any issues with the colon? Can we substitute the colon for something else maybe? Why do we use colon?
make a list of
For a
things.
list, right?
But that's
Do
only
we have a
two.
list of things here?
No.
No. So, colors is one of those, they're one of those things that if you have to use them, you can use them, but commas and periods are pretty safe in scientific writing, okay? So it just kind of reads better, it looks better. I'll just put a comma here. I wouldn't even bother with the color. So, something that took almost 2.5 lines is now probably just 1 line. Precision. Let's move on to the next sentence, starting with the reference.
A mirror reflects the
Yeah.
reference beam.
Mm-hmm.
A mirror reflects the reference beam.
Okay, so you want to switch all of this around, put a mirror in the beginning, reflects
The reference.
the reference beam. Okay,
Change and to which.
Yeah, which shines onto.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. A mirror reflects the reference beam, and
Change and to
which shines on the film plate. Okay? Everyone okay with that? Okay, let's move on to the object.
I think that's
the object for beam.
Guys, I'm way up here.
I think the sentence is okay.
Everyone thinks the sentence is okay? The object beam penetrates the lens which disperse the light particles. I have an issue.
Okay.
So remember when I said that you're writing for someone that don't know what you're talking about, right? And when you say the light particles and you haven't referenced light particles before, it kind of makes me feel like I'm missing something.
Could you replace
What
that?
light particles?
Could you replace that with just saying the object beam penetrates, which disperses the beam? Like, did you mention beams of light before?
Okay, will that be accurate? Is that what it does? You guys read it. You guys did a case study on it. You know how it works. So what's accurate?
Can you just say the light particles of the laser?
Laser light particles?
The object beam penetrates the lens which disperse the light particles. Or the suggestions?
Add laser, the laser, like
Yeah.
part.
Which disperses the lasers.
Okay. You want to put lasers here? The laser. Like that?
Yeah.
Okay. I still don't know what light particles we're talking about.
You get rid of
ones that
particles.
Instead of particles,
Get rid of particles.
someone tell me in your own words what actually happens so we can all be on the same page on what happens and then we can translate that to a sentence. So what happens?
It just disperses the laser light. It doesn't only disperse the beam bigger so that it hits off the object.
The beam is misfocused.
You guys speak up just a little bit so we can all hear.
The beam
Repeat
of
what
light
you
is
said.
misfocused once it goes through the lens. No. Yes, thanks. Yeah, that's
So what?
So the lens unfocuses the light.
Yes.
When did we learn that? It's separate.
Where were you guys at when you learned that?
Why is the light? Yes.
I think it's not just a single beam of light anymore, it's just spread out.
You have to be accurate, guys. This is, okay. So, when I do this with the high school students, they usually make up what they want to say because they don't really understand, so they start making up other stuff. Don't get caught in that trap. Before you write anything, it has to be accurate, meaning that you have to know what you're talking about. Meaning that if I read it, I shouldn't have to ask anyone, I don't know what this means. It should be clear as day on paper. So maybe this sentence is a little bit too simple to describe what happens, and if that's a fact, then you will have to actually expand it or make more sentences to kind of convey your point. But is anyone knowledgeable about what actually happens with this light? What are the particles we're talking about? Because now I'm confused as a reader. You guys are confused as the reader. So what actually happens? Anyone know? Anyone? Yes.
Basically, the laser beam is made up of particles of light, and they're very focused and very compact. Once that beam of light hits the lens, they aren't as compact anymore. It's not just a straight line, it's just more, it's more like looking at, the easiest way to describe it is to say it's more like looking at a lamp than looking at a flashlight. The flashlight would be really focused and really small, it would cover some really small area, but the light's going to cover a bigger area once it goes through that lens.
Okay. Take that, and how can we write that here? In not so many words.
Could we just use the afterlife?
What I'm trying to suggest is that you probably can't use this sentence.
Yeah.
You'll probably have to just rewrite the whole sentence or insert 2 or 3 more sentences to convey that point. Because for me as a reader who I have no idea what you guys are talking about, now I understand what you're saying. But from reading this, I would have never gotten that from this one sentence. Okay? So we're going to move on and then edit the rest and move on to the next page. But do you guys see what I mean by you have to be concise, but you have to be accurate, and you have to fully explain it so that your audience will have to interpret anything. Is it clear? Yes.
Would it be appropriate if someone were to write the stop at light, like not add particles, just in the sentence at light, or would that still be vague?
Yeah, the object beam penetrates the lens would disperse the light. What light? We still don't understand what light. We still don't understand, because we're talking about different lights here. I don't know which one you're referring to. So you still have to go a little bit more in detail. And like I said, you guys, when you're writing about science, for instance, something like this that seems simple now, it's very complex things that the audience may not readily understand. So you have to make it as clear as possible. Okay? Let's move on to the next sentence, starting here with then.
It's passive.
Okay, what makes it passive?
Where it says gets reflected. So, reflects off another mirror.
So what do you suggest we do? Do we take out something, put in something?
You could replace gets reflected.
Okay.
So yeah, take that out and replace that with this first object being. Is reflective be passive too? Or okay.
Another mirror reflects the source object beam.
You guys read it. That's a better way to say that. Because I don't even know what the dispersed object beam is.
I had to replace that part too because it make it less confusing.
Right. Okay, so this is the point. You guys can't write things, introduce new concepts without explaining it first. So you just can't put in there dispersed object beam. And we've never talked about a dispersed object beam before, and now it's like this whole new thing you're introducing that you've never explained. I don't know. I can't get a mental picture from it. So how can we describe that? Okay, so I understand that. So the light was split into an object beam and a reference beam, right? The reference beam does what? A mirror shines it into a film plate. Then what happens to the object beam? Is the object beam the same thing as a dispersed object beam?
Once it goes through the object.
Which is the sentence that we just crossed off.
Okay, but in this sentence, it doesn't say anything about dispersed object beam.
So could we have just changed the light particles to the object beam?
Okay, so the object beam penetrates the lens, which creates a dispersed object being.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could
Well,
Now we've defined what a dispersed object being is,
So you can use it.
right? And now we can use the next sentence. Is everyone following me? Is this confusing? Who says yes? I understand that it's nitpicky, guys, but if I was a professor and you're writing a research paper or something that I'm confused. And
Guys.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When a professor reads this, they're reading to see that you understand it. I already understand this. I've done these labs. I know what you needed to do. They want to know if you know what you actually did. This tells me that you didn't. We look for specificity to see that you know what you were talking about. What's Coachella? We haven't figured out what that is. Why is it that Tupac isn't singing on his own? Well, he's dead. Well, that's important. What kind of film plate did we use? Does it matter? Is it 35 millimeter film? Can I go get it at CVS? No, this is holographic film. Specificity matters in science. Specificity tells one scientist to another, I understand what this was and what the concepts are, and I'm ready to move forward with the next thing. That's what professors are looking for in lab reports and papers. They're looking for specificity. Those little nitpicky things, that's what we look for. We don't look for sentence structure. I don't bother with that. If I see that you don't understand the basic parts of what happened, I'm not going to waste my time fixing your sentence structure. I'm going to give you an F and I'm going to give it back to you. That's the way it works.
There's no redos in college.
No.
You take it.
So learning about this stuff now helps you. It helps you to see these are the places that I need to work on and I need to fix. So that's why we're doing this. We want you guys to see, and we want you guys to work to fix these and make them better. Specificity matters.
Okay. So I think this paragraph is a little overworked. We're just going to move on to the next paragraph, okay? So let's move on to people mistake. Oh, yes, in the back.
Again, tense is not correct throughout the sentence. You have mistake and was not as well known.
Okay.
Same sentence.
So I'll put tense here. Anything else in this first sentence?
People is kind of too.
Okay. So we can restructure it to say what?
The audience.
Or Tupac's performance is mistaken as an hologram. Yada yada yada. Okay. Anything else?
As well.
Not as well known. Yeah, it's awkward wording. I don't really know what.
Also, do people not know it's a hologram because they don't know what the words Pepper's Ghost mean? Because what that says is you didn't know it because you didn't know the term Pepper's Ghost.
No.
It's not the term you didn't know. I can tell you the term Pepper's Ghost. That doesn't mean anything.
That's what I was hitting at with this sentence.
Pepper's Ghost is a technique.
So we can replace that here. And guys, I know it's annoying that it's like, oh, this one word, but it makes a big difference. Huge difference. This is kind of awkward. You can just put this, the technique is not known or isn't known or something like that. You don't have to put all of this. This is necessary. Okay, next sentence. Any suggestions? I have issues. You guys have issues with this sentence?
Can be two-dimensional.
I don't know. Is it and or is it both, or is it
It can't be.
what's accurate?
I think to produce is not complex.
And I don't have issues with the to produce.
But like projecting to produce a lot of like can you say like I know that's not like something
I think in this case it kind of equal. I like produce a little better because you're not really creating something new. What I have an issue with is this part of the sentence. Anyone
Is
else?
that-
Yeah.
Is that necessary?
I don't know. I don't know what
The mixture of that clause with the ending of the first clause is confusing.
what's confusing about it.
You're not completely told.
Which is which.
Yeah. You're just given object and you're not sure what object it is.
And I don't know what's meant by in the same location as the object. I don't under. Can someone tell me what it actually means so maybe I can like kind of understand? Drew, do you know?
This one I'm not entirely sure of because
Okay.
they'd be occupying the same space at the same time is the way that reads.
Yeah, I thought that maybe you'll have an object that's 3D and then you'll project the image of the object in the same place that the object is standing.
No,
or just
it-
leave out the fine.
Can someone explain how Pepper Skulls works?
well, the way they did it at Coachella, they would have they had a projector, an HD projector at the top, which projected video of Tupac Shakur singing onto a reflective screen, and they had a transparent foil at a 45-degree angle on the stage, which the reflective screen threw onto the transparent foil, which made it seem that Tupac was actually on stage to those in the audience.
Okay, so how can I use that to transform? Is this sentence even necessary? Like, tell me about this.
The whole sentence or that clause?
This whole sentence. I understand the Pepper Skulls into this part. I think it's just this clause that I'm kind of confused about. What is referred to? Does anyone can you just cross it out? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
thought it
Okay.
was maybe like a filler, so I wasn't sure.
Hmm?
I wasn't sure if I would like if I like turned this into a professor, they would call it a filler. Like, I think you said
It's just confusing. It's just plain confusing. It's just we don't know what which is referring to. We don't know what needs to be in the same place, like the light, the 3D, the 2D. We don't know. So we can just cross that out. Hopefully, it doesn't contribute to a main point, but we'll never know because we don't know who paper this is, and we can't ask. And professor's not going to care who paper it is; they won't ask. So they'll just mark it and just move on.
I think you were trying to do too many things in one sentence. You were trying to cram an entire idea of what Pepper's Ghost is into a sentence and then throw in a comma to make that work. Make more sentences if you have to. I'd rather see short sentences that tell me you understand what's going on than a big long sentence that I have to spend time to try to figure out what the heck you're talking about.
Let's move on to the next sentence, guys. Anyone have issues? Yes.
Oh, it's never mind.
Works by using should just be uses.
Yeah.
Okay. Is a plate glass?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other issues with this sentence? I think it's okay. Alright. Let's move on to first, this sentence here.
Is that passive? The light is pointed.
Mm-hmm.
The light points towards the object.
I didn't hear you.
The light points at the object. You know what I mean? It's pointed.
So, take out first. In scientific writing, guys, you often write in chronological order. So you don't have to use words like secondly or thereafter, first, finally. It goes in order. I think we all kind of understand that you're writing in order. Okay? So a light, what's the suggestion?
Points at the object.
Actually, can we change it as shines?
Okay. A light shines at the
Onto the object?
Sorry?
Onto the object?
Onto the object. Okay? Anything else? Can you move on to the next sentence? Personally, I wouldn't just write a sentence that says a light shines into the object, but for corrective purposes, I'll take it today. But yeah, that sentence just wouldn't make sense to me. Just in general, I get what we're trying to do, but it doesn't really fit there or anywhere. Let's move on to the light reflects. Actually, if you just read this sentence, you can take this whole sentence out. So it tells us the same thing. The light reflects off the object and refracts through the glass. Yes.
In the part of that sentence at the end where it says which is placed at a 45-degree angle, the is placed would be passive, so wouldn't it just sound better if they said forming a 45-degree angle instead?
That would kind of be confusing because someone might think that the light and the plate glass work together to create the 45-degree angle. They wouldn't understand how it was moving.
So suggestions for that.
You could say that keep the first part of the sentence up until the comma and say which stands at a 45-degree angle. Or sets, or however you want to say the glass.
Anyone else? There's a better way. Don't be so downtrodden, guys. This is the process. Huh?
Can we just take out which is?
Or could we just take out place, which is at a 45-degree angle?
And then add in reference to the object at the end.
Wait. Let's slow down. Okay, so are we okay with the light reflects off the object and refracts through the glass? Are we okay with that? Are we having issues with this part, with this clause here?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess I'm having issues with what's at a 45-degree angle. Is it the light? Is it the object? Is it the glass? Is it everything together? What is it?
What's the glass?
Okay, so how can we rewrite this so that the audience would know, the reader would know that you're referring to the glass at a 45-degree angle?
We like switch the sentence around.
Okay,
Just
to
like
read.
like start out talking about the glass. Like the glass is placed at a 45-degree angle. It reflects the light.
Okay, I like where you're going. Can we help her? You have a comment?
What do you think?
You can say the glass placed at a 45-degree angle reflects light off the objects in the glass. Oh wait.
You can say the glass stands at a 45-degree on the stage and the light reflects off the object and refracts through the glass. No.
Come on, guys, we have to learn how to edit these things. In the back, yes.
What if we took out the and just put reflects through a glass placed at a 45-degree angle? Completely take off.
You want to start the sentence with reflect?
Huh? No, keep the first part of the sentence.
Okay.
And then replace the V before glass to an A through a glass placed at a 45 degree angle. Completely take out which is in the comma.
Through a glass.
Placed at a 45 degree angle.
So you'll take out which is. Okay. Anyone have any issues with 45 degree?
Would that not be written out?
Why not?
It's more than
And
It has enough
just a measurement. So you can just put 45 degree. Okay. I think that's the easiest we can do with that sentence. Let's move on. Okay. The audience must face the glass and avoid viewing the object. I thought that the point of this was to view the object.
No, I think,
I thought.
no, they must not
I
view
thought they
the
would.
reflective screen that which is projecting onto the transparent foil.
So they left
So
out
you want the
part
audience to see the glass and not see the object.
You don't
Yes.
want them to see the glass.
I thought the point of a Pepper's Ghost was to let you see
No.
the object.
See the object.
What's the object? I don't.
The original object that's being projected. They see the illusion, but they don't see the original object that the light is shining on.
Okay. Anyone have any suggestions to make this sentence say that? Yes.
Would it be possible to say the audience must face the glass to observe the, I guess, the illusion
Okay.
of the object?
The audience must face the glass to
Observe
observe the illusion. Yes. Okay.
But avoid viewing
So
the
what do
original
we mean by
object.
this part?
But avoid viewing the original object.
You guys.
I would feel like that's not necessary because Pepper's Ghost, generally the object is not in view anyways.
Yeah, in this case it was like a.
So that part's not really necessary.
Is it necessary? Is it not?
It's not.
No.
Okay. All right, everyone take a break and breathe.
Guys, this is hard. It's hard for us. We've been doing this for years. When we submit a paper, like, I submit papers about you guys. That's my job. I study what you guys do. I study how you guys interact with each other, how you're going to do for the next 4 years. I will get your grades every semester. I'm going to watch you for the next 4 years. That's my job. That's my job. I have to write papers about you because we like the money that we get. The government gave us money for a reason. That reason is to know how you guys do with programs like this. I have to write like this for all of those. Anytime you send something to somebody that is a scientist, you have to write like this. It's hard. It takes time. We would rather you guys be exposed to this now than come in the fall. You get none of this in the fall. Nobody tells you any of this stuff. A professor goes, this is wrong, and I give it back to you. You don't get to know why. You don't get to know that you should have used technique instead of term. That you should have switched the sentence around a little bit. You don't get any of that stuff. That's why we want you guys to do this. That's why we're doing this 4 times. Because it's hard. It takes time. But if you guys can get used to some of the rules right now, just little bits and pieces, you might do much, much better in the long run. And I want you to do better. That's my job. Okay? So you got to keep at it. You got to keep going. I know it's frustrating because to you this probably totally makes sense and it's all stupid. This is specific enough. I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm good enough. It doesn't work like that anymore. It might have worked like that when you were a sophomore. It doesn't work like that anymore. You got to be specific. You got to tell the professor what you know. This didn't tell me what you know. Okay? Don't be frustrated. Well, it's okay. Be frustrated. It's frustrating. It'll get better. We promise.
Don't lose hope.
Yeah, don't lose hope.
Not yet.
Not yet. It takes years to be able to write like this. They're professors.
Hope.
It Takes years to lose hope, exactly. There are professors that go to writing camps just to learn how to do this. They hire people that write grants for them because they don't have time to, or they can't do it. And they've realized, I can't write like this. So I'm going to have somebody else write for me. Of course, that costs a whole bunch of money. So if you're really good at this, let me know. I can hook you up. I'll have you write some grants, and it's a good amount of money. But for right now, you gotta start learning the rules.
And here's a lesson, guys. At Emory, you're gonna write in almost every class. Like, don't think that, oh, if I just avoid biology, I don't have to do this. No, you can actually take these rules and apply it anywhere. And you're gonna do that in every class you go to at Emory. If you don't have to write a 25-page paper, you're gonna write at least a 5-page paper. That's just in your intro to Anthrop class. You're gonna have to do it. So I think we're out of time now. Any questions? Any, comments? Anything? Yes.
I remember, like, earlier you said we was going to mention Coachella, so, like, would we have to introduce that before we start
Yep.
talking too?
And you'd want to tell me why it matters if Tupac is a hologram or if he's not. That stuff matters. It's important because it is the major thrust of this summary. The fact that he has been dead for many years.
So could you just say the deceased Tupac and that would...
Yep, that pretty much cover you because he's dead. Or deceased since 1994, 96.
Could you say the Coachella Music Festival and that cover that?
That could cover at least a good, you could say annual, something that tells me what's actually going on at this Coachella event. Is that a scientific conference? I don't know what it is. For some people it is.
Coachella Festival there, so you have to kind of be specific. So here I put Coachella Festival, you put Music Festival or Annual Festival. Something that tells people what it is. I haven't read your article. So for me reading this, I was really depending on you guys to tell me exactly what it's about. And as you can see, I couldn't get it from this. The key to it is to also learn the material. I think it's a good lesson in studying. When I did this with my high schoolers, I gave them a simple article from the AJC. And they had an issue with just comprehending the material. Comprehension is key when you're writing. If you don't understand it, you're going to make up all kind of crap. It's going to sound stupid. It just will. I'm sorry, you're not stupid. You're here at Emory. Of course you're not. But you can't tell that from your writing sometimes. It's just as important as speaking well. Any other questions? Any other questions? Yes.
Well, I just have a question about the second sentence in the second paragraph. The one that starts with Peppers goes.
Mm-hmm.
When it says Peppers goes to the method of projecting, would that be passive too? I didn't. Or is that? Or is that just a helping verb?
Are you referring to the is or the of or the?
The is the part where it says is a method of projecting.
I think that's just a helping word.
I think that's acceptable. Peppers goes is a method of projecting. I would accept that.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
that would be okay.
and don't think too hard about the syntax and the specific rules. If it makes sense, use it.
Okay.
And if you reread it, and there's another way you can put it without using those passive voice or helping verbs, then do it another way. But the thing is, you have to be accurate. You have to explain what's actually happening. And sometimes they don't really, your professor's not going to look for, did you use a passive voice? If it makes sense and they can comprehend it, you're safe. I'm just saying don't rely on the passive voice. Don't go to it as like, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. It's hard, guys. Like I said, I get anxiety writing things. I'm a good writer now because I've gone through this process and gotten my heart broken many of times at Emory. I survived. I made it out. It's okay. It's okay. Just in college, you have to be the person that's proactive and asking why, because your professor's going to hand it back and not care. So if you really want to become a better writer, you have to ask the questions of why. Go to the writing center, ask the questions, ask your roommate to proofread it, write it in advance so you don't have to turn it in without proofreading your paper. You know.
And understand that that's your job in college. It's not mine as a professor. It's not my job to give you an A. It's your job to earn an A. That's what you want to do here. Actually, I would drop down and use the word technique again because I already used it before. And it maintains consistency and it's repetitive. We are always repetitive in science. When we write, we repeat the same words over and over again. You've used two different words that mean two very different things, depending on what kind of scientist you are and what kind of scientist you're talking to. Between technique and method, it sounds the same, but it's not. It's different in science. So that's something else that you got to keep in mind, is that it's your job now to make sure you're doing it right. It's not the professor's job anymore. You guys just want to go back home now? Yeah.
Just have high spirits. I want to look over everyone's paper and give marks and give it back to you next time I see you. Don't be heartbroken. It's just...
You develop a really thick skin. Don't get married to any of this stuff. It's on the paper, and you like it the minute that you send it, and 10 minutes later, I'm already mad at myself for making mistakes. Like, oh, I could have switched that. I could have fixed that. I could have done this better. I could have explained that more. Somebody will catch it. Somebody will mark it up and make you feel like crap for 10 minutes, and then you'll be okay. Don't be married to any of this stuff. Be ready to change it anytime, if it makes sense to change it.
Well, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Your new title's going to be Destroyer of Hope. That's what we're going to make you.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
You want to give them like 10?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys take a break, get some water, stretch your legs a little bit, and then come back here and we'll start our